Here we are live in the club. Hello, Bára to Prague from Brno, and
Hi.
welcome.
Hey, so good to be here. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nina. Hello to Brno.
Hello to Prague. Hello, Baru, and hello, everybody in the club. Tonight we have this very special interview with Bára Imrišková, our founding member. Baru, do you know that it has been exactly 2 years that you entered the club?
Exactly 2 years.
Yeah.
To the day.
Yes, because I opened the club on the 31st, I believe, in the evening. And on the 1st of April 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, beginning of the pandemic, I opened the club and you were one of the teachers who was there.
That is nuts. That is crazy. Wow.
I am gifting everyone an interview with you.
So, first of all, can I just say, that is so amazing. That is such an achievement. And I remember very vividly that you told us at the end of 2020 that originally it was just supposed to be a 6-month project.
I almost forgot. I almost forgot. Well, I was hoping for more, of course, but I didn't know what would come out of it. And here we are 2 years later with many projects, with so many new friendships, especially, I would say. So much stuff learned and so many people's businesses moved forward, so much more self-confidence in all of us, including myself, because I wasn't really used to making interviews. And we have to say this is your first live interview, Baru, yeah?
Yes, that is
and
correct.
You're so brave. So I'm glad you said yes to this. And who better to interview tonight on the eve of the 2nd anniversary than Bára, a very, very popular member, much loved in the community. You almost always come to our meetings and always share from your teaching experience. And you also became a teacher of many of our members because you do courses for teachers. So there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about.
There really is.
Are you ready for it tonight?
I can't wait. Super stoked.
Amazing. Okay, so Baru, I will first ask you a few things about you and English, of course, how you learned English, how you came to Prague, because you're not originally from Prague, yeah? And then we will focus more on teaching English, how you started teaching, how you teach now, what you focus on, where you got this beautiful American pronunciation, and we can dive into some freelancing topics even, right?
That sounds amazing.
Awesome.
Fire away.
So those of you who are watching live, please feel free to ask Bára or myself any questions that I should ask Bára. And we are hoping to have a fun hour here chatting about ELT freelancing. And I call this interview Why you, Bára, love ELT freelancing. I know you haven't been teaching for decades, and yet you are quite successful, as I wrote in the invitation. So I'll be also asking you how you got there, to your mindset, and how everything is going for you.
Sounds great. And I have to say that in a way, I feel like when you mentioned that it's been 2 years since the club started, I feel like in a way I'm one of your biggest success stories. So it's like really like amazing that we get to do this on the anniversary, because really I feel like without this club having started, and I'm sure a lot of the ladies that are watching will be able to relate, I don't think my teacher career would have taken off in the way it did.
You want to make me cry, yeah?
Yes. I do that to my students regularly. You're next on the list.
Thank you so much for appreciating what I do here in the club. But I am just a facilitator. I am just a coach. You have everything inside of you, and those who want, they move forward. Not everyone stays. Not everyone works this hard like yourself. So I am so happy that it's worked for you. What I had in mind first for 6 months and testing it out, and now 2 years later, definitely growing it. And we have this conference for English language or language teachers, not just English language teachers, language teachers. Now we have offline meetings, we have courses. Yeah, we teach each other, coach each other, and it's a beautiful journey. So thank you for being on this journey with me and with us, because I know lots of ladies from the club really appreciate, first of all, your experience. You share a lot in our club, and you're always trying to be there and comment and support the other ladies, but also with your English, with helping us with your high level English, C2 English. That's very much appreciated. And I learned definitely from you in the past 2 years as well, because your English is just incredible. So please tell us how you learned your English, Bára.
Are you ready for a story time?
Yes. Okay, let me bring you closer. Ta-da.
Okay.
Like this.
Right. So I would say that as for a lot of people, in the beginning, it wasn't about English. I had a passion. And it can be music, it can be TV shows, it can be meeting people internationally. But I believe that at the heart of it, everybody who learns English to a very high degree has a passion. And for me, that passion growing up was pop culture. So everything related to TV shows, movies, music, you name it, I devoured it, I loved it, and I still do. And I can't talk about how I learned English and why I focus on American English in particular without mentioning one TV show. I don't know if you're going to be familiar with it. It's not Friends. It's not Sex and the City. It's called Supernatural.
I'm not familiar. What is it about? What is it?
It's like a dark fantasy urban legend TV show about two brothers from America, from Kansas, who travel the country and kill monsters. Funny story, it has never been filmed in the United States. All of it was filmed in Canada. However, the premise of the show and the way it worked was that there were these two brothers who traveled the country. And as far as I could tell, like the lore and the legends and the music and all the movie references, these were actually real. So I thought I was watching a TV show, but in fact, what I was doing was I was learning about America, I was learning about the States, I was learning about the country, the music, the culture, the references, the legends, the books, and I was learning the language. And so much of what I had learned back then has still stayed with me. And I think this is really, it's so inspiring and it's so incredible how you can form such a deep memory at such a young age, and it stays with you throughout your entire life.
Did you memorize? Did you memorize the dialogues?
Yes, I did. I memorized the dialogues. I read the stories. I watched the interviews. I wrote some stories.
Did you ever teach with it? Did you ever end up teaching with the show?
No. But now that you mentioned that would be such a cool idea. I would love that. Not sure if it would be everybody's cup of tea, as it's kind of like horror, dark mystery. But like to me, it is the epitome of like you connecting something that you are super passionate about, as I was passionate about pop culture, and the English just sort of happening by the way.
And I think that's what attracted us to each other, because you also work mainly without course books, and you base it on people's interests and passions because you went through it yourself. So you teach people how to surround themselves with stuff that they like. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that is the best way to get them in and keep them motivated, isn't it? Because it happened to you and me as well. And of course, living in the US and living in other countries, and yeah, having lots of foreign friends, that helps as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you have that passion, like what naturally ends up happening is like you meet people who also love that same thing you do, right? And then you build a community, you form connections, sometimes for life, right?
Yeah.
With people from all over the world. And keep in mind that this was like pre-social media. Yeah, I'm talking like 2012 or maybe even 2011, when all we did was we talked to people on like these old forums. I don't know if you can remember.
Come on, there was Facebook. You don't remember it.
I do remember, but it was different back then, right? It wasn't so public, but like if you were really like hardcore into fandom, as I was, the forums where it all happened, right? And you could meet people from absolutely anywhere there. It was absolutely magical. It was so great. So I ended up being surrounded by English like almost haphazardly, you know, by accident. But it formed me like for many, many, many years ahead.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like it's not a way to teach English. I think it's the only way to teach English. And it's the only way to learn. Isn't it?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So pop culture, what
Yes.
else had an effect on your English?
Another story. So
Okay.
related to supernatural. Okay. Like as you can see, this is like something that I'm never ever gonna get over. So when I was actually in the States, you know, like back then with my ex-boyfriend, I insisted that we recreate a supernatural experience. So what these two brothers did was, because obviously they were quite poor, you know, hunting ghosts isn't like, you can't really make ends meet sometimes. So they would always stay in motels. So I insisted, and picture us in like rural Indiana. Like you lived in Indiana.
No!
Right? So you've been to Indiana before. So picture like rural Indiana, like really seriously in the sticks, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Dry County, by the way. You couldn't even get a beer. We're there in a motel room, and it was like absolutely everything I have ever dreamed of. It was so cool.
That is so bizarre, because when I got to Indiana, that was nothing I ever dreamed of. And I got stuck there for 6 months and I hated it. And you dreamed of this
I
because you were.
did. Well, you did like corn and future corn and past corn?
No, I don't. And you know, I grew up on Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place, not Supernatural. So it was very far away from what I knew from.
So you were picturing like LA and the glitz and glamour of Hollywood.
And I ended up in Indiana. Yeah.
You ended up in Indiana. Yeah, I could see how that could have been a little bit of a shocker. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like for me, like actually being there and experiencing the culture, there was another thing which was just like, it just completely blew my mind. It was amazing.
So you never had these images of America being very luxurious. You already knew, like, you know, the lower life.
I knew the two guys who were hustling and who had like salt in the trunk of their car and like a rifle. So and that's what actually I love about the United States, and that's why I love English and all of its different facets. Is like it can be whatever you want it to be, right? Like somebody who is like, for example, Janja Kindlova is really super into England and English dialects and the UK, and like her experience with English and with the Anglophone culture is completely different from my experience and from your experience and from other people's experience, but it's still English. Yeah, it's still the culture and the language.
Each of us has a unique story. Yeah, we all have all these personal stories from starting in childhood and continuing throughout the transforming years of puberty, teenage years. Yes, mine is connected very much to rock music and movies as well. Yes, and traveling. So why the US? Why not the UK ever?
I feel like I'm just gonna repeat myself here. But no, honestly, I do love it there. I do love it. I think it's an absolutely amazing country. I know it's not without its problems. I know it's not, but I feel like there is just something about American culture and American people that I find very liberating to be around.
Can you be more specific? That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're confident.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their confidence, their belief in their abilities, their charm, even, and the fact that it's such a seriously, and the fact that it's such a huge country and you can literally reinvent yourself like when you go there, when you are there. It's incredible.
Have you ever dreamt of living there, making a living, staying there?
I did a couple years ago, but eventually I decided that like right now for me Prague is where I want to be.
Okay. And you are not from Prague, as I said at the beginning. Where are you from, and how did you get to Prague and to where you are now?
That's a great question. So I'm originally from Slovakia, from the capital of Slovakia, Bratislava. And I won't be able to answer that question without telling you about another passion of mine, which was, get this, rock music.
Okay.
I was super into rock and like metal music growing up. So if you like picture me wearing like black lacy clothes and like a significant amount of eyeliner, you're kind of getting the picture. And like leather boots and chains. And I had a lot of friends in the Czech Republic because obviously this type of music was much more popular here than it was in Slovakia back at that time. So we would always just like get together and like travel around the Czech Republic to go to concerts together. Like, for example, I literally traveled the Czech Republic even before I turned 18 for music.
Wow.
Like we went to Ostrava, Pardubice, Prague, Brno, Zlín. Yeah. So
and your parents let you travel around the Czech Republic, being abroad?
I did not necessarily ask or like give them a lot of choice, because I think I've always been quite an independent person and quite a headstrong person, which I think now is also reflected in my choice of career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk
So
about
I had already had a relationship with the Czech Republic and Prague specifically, even before I considered like where to go for university, and that's how I ended up here.
And you finished last year? No, 2 years ago, your studies?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually decided not to pursue linguistics anymore.
Okay.
So in the future, I think I might pursue a teaching degree again, because that's what I like better.
And you studied English language, is that right?
Yeah, well, I got my BA in English language and literature and education, and then I pursued a master's degree in English linguistics for a couple of years before deciding on an alternative path.
Which is?
Teaching.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. And I know, let's get into your teaching.
Yeah.
I know that you like to focus on pronunciation. How did that come about? How did you start being fascinated by pronunciation? Because I know you are.
I am. Yeah. So first of all, it's so much fun. Pronunciation is incredible. But I would say there is like a more general or a wider point to be made here, in that like when you are an ELT freelancer, the great thing about that is that you can do like whatever you want in teaching. So like for me, like I've been teaching for 6 years and I've had a lot of these like ebbs and flows where what I was teaching very much followed what I was interested in at that particular time. So around the year 2018, I was super interested in pronunciation. Yeah, I had an absolutely amazing university professor who gave me like a lot of opportunities to like develop my skills and get better. And he actually eventually got me a job. I worked with a company where I taught for 3 years, focusing on American pronunciation. So I sort of just like followed my nose and it happened. And it's been this way ever since, where something pretty much catches my fancy, whether it is pronunciation or working with advanced learners or groups for teachers. And I just go like, hey, that sounds like fun. Let's do that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And that's fine.
And you mentioned that that's one of the perks of being a freelancer. Isn't it so much fun to be able to choose whatever you want one day, and even the same day you can post about it on social media and get people hooked, and you have clients and you can start next week. It's that easy, and it's so exciting, isn't it?
Mhm. It's absolutely amazing. And what I love is that it's not only me teaching my clients, but me learning from my clients. And this is actually one of the perks of working with advanced learners, which I know you wanted to ask about as well, is that these people very often have like a very specific niche that they work in or that they are interested
Yes.
in. So for example, today, okay, just to recap, I learned a lot about roofing.
Mhm.
And I know how to roof a house. Like theoretically, yeah, like it's not like I'm gonna climb up that ladder, but like theoretically, I could tell you how to roof a house. We talked about the differences in register, informal and informal writing in one of my exam prep classes. We
Mhm.
talked about atomic habits with another student of mine. And in the morning, we
Oh,
talked about data collection for the city of Prague. All in the span of one day. Which other job is gonna allow you to geek over absolutely anything?
exactly. Exactly. That's what I've always loved about it as well. And when people ask, how can you keep doing this for 18 years and not get bored of explaining grammar? Well, first of all, we are all geeks and nerds, right?
Yes.
Um, Grammar freaks. Absolutely, you have to be.
Mhm.
So that's one answer. But this is the other answer. You get to meet people with interesting jobs, interesting stories, and it's my favorite way of helping people
Mhm.
improve their English as well. Simply talking to them about them and what they need to be able to say. Is that what your way as well? I understand.
100%. 100%. And I couldn't imagine teaching any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. So you first ask about their needs, right? And about what they need to improve their English in. You don't take a textbook and go from lesson 1 to lesson 20 without asking them, right?
No.
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 Why
I
not?
never did that. I never did that. Even when I worked for language schools, because I sort of went through the trajectory that I think everybody goes through. Like,
Mhm.
first, you're sort of like dipping your toes, and then you're like testing your hand and trying your hand at like all of these like different types of courses for public, for companies, yada, yada. But even back then, I was never able to like stick to the syllabus, because I was always much more interested in the people sitting there than I was
Mhm.
in like whatever it was I was supposed to be teaching them on that particular day. Yeah.
Even as a very, very young teacher, you dared to talk to them instead of opening the book and just following the syllabus. You were
But it
always
didn't make sense. They all hated it. Like if
right.
you're perceptive, you can like actually see the energy drop. Like the moment you go like from the beginning stage of the lesson where you're talking to people and everybody is having a good time and they're like, okay, and then like you reach for the book and everybody just goes like, you know? It just
So,
didn't make any sense
yes,
to
I
keep
do
doing it
know.
that way.
So tell me, where did you get inspired to have this natural self-confidence and not be afraid of asking questions, even when the students, the clients, I
Mm.
suppose, have often been much older than you, and you as a newbie teacher, not following the course book, where did you get that approach? Anybody
Mm.
inspired you, or any specific person in your life, or what's your story there? Because not everyone is as confident, as naturally confident as you are.
It's interesting that you think it's confidence related.
What
Is
is
it
it?
confidence related?
Tell me, you tell me, what is it?
To me, like everything I just mentioned is driven by curiosity. And if I were to like single out like one personality trait, which I think is absolutely vital for teachers, I would say it's being inquisitive and being curious. Because
I
when
was
you're
hoping
inquisitive
for
and
this
you're,
answer.
yeah, and confidence that comes with time. Yeah, that comes with time. Yeah, I was not self-confident. I'm the epitome of fake it till you make it. But that like, and I think people can feel if the interest you have in them is genuine.
Yeah,
And for me, it was always 100% genuine.
yes. Yes, I feel that in every conversation we have, you always ask about me as well. It's not just one-way conversation. Even if we talk about work, you're always curious how everything is going. And it's just so refreshing to have a teacher like that, because not everyone is like that. So you can see it on your students that they really appreciate this style. Yeah,
I hope they do. I really
because
hope they do.
it makes them express themselves more openly, and then they speak more, and that's what we need them to do, right?
That's absolutely true. And even like me as a student, you know, I actually realized that as a student, I seek out this connection with the teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, and I want the person to be interested in me. Yeah, not just the
Yeah.
material that they are teaching, but I need to feel like, you know, I matter to them. So I try to like give back the same thing to my students in turn. And you get to learn about roofing in the process of that. Yeah, you never know.
Because the interaction is so much more than just learning the language, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%.
So what do you love about it, Baru? Tell us. What is it that keeps you in this profession now for 6 years already? That's quite a lot.
Well, I started freelancing 2 years ago, like really like freelancing, or maybe 3 years ago if you include also that company gig. I think it's gonna sound like a cliche, but like for me, it's the opportunity to learn something every day. You know, I don't think I would be able to like just be a teacher that's just like, okay, today we're gonna talk about past simple, today we're gonna talk about future perfect, continuous, whatever. But like the fact that like it allows you to interact with people about like what they are passionate about, and like you're learning something in the process that is so precious. That's incredible. You know, and I've always been like very much people driven, even as an introvert. I'm massively introverted. But even so, I love people. I absolutely adore people. I can't imagine like not working with people. So for me, like discovering what makes people tick and helping them do that in English, and helping them, you know, maybe learn something they didn't know in English, with English, via English. That's the best feeling in the world.
I
Because then
know,
it
right?
becomes mutual. Yeah. Yeah. And then the best thing is like when we start geeking out over something in the lesson, and both of us are like, oh my God, oh my God.
It might as well be the best hour of their week, you know, because not everyone gets as excited as we English teachers, who are very communicative and interactive, are with our clients. Yeah. Yeah, I
That's very
really
true.
believe that we add so much more to our clients' life than just the language or culture. And that's why we should also value our services so much higher than we usually do. I wanted to ask you, and we can go back to this in a bit, but since you're so excited, I wanted to ask you, do you think you will be doing this for the rest of your life? Does it feel
Wow.
like that now?
That is a great question. I think that no matter what happens, whether it'll be like teaching or consulting or coaching or whatever, I'll always do something where it'll be about people growing. Because that's something that I want to do myself. You know, I want to grow and I want to develop. And I want to, like, as you said, like facilitate that for other people. So even if it's not like one-on-one teaching or like English language teaching, I think some sort of education will be going on in whatever way, shape, or form.
Awesome. So, Varut, can you give us an overview of what you are doing now in the present moment, who you teach?
Wow. Yeah, okay, I'll try. So I teach advanced learners. I focus mostly on advanced learners. However, it is an eclectic mix. I work with a lot of business people who want to refine their English for business purposes. I work with a lot of people who are focusing on Cambridge certificates. These are mostly teenagers, which is so much fun. I love working with teenagers. They are the absolute best. They are so great. And then also other teachers, not only teachers of English, but also teachers of other languages. I teach teachers of Czech, German, etc., etc. And then I also run group courses for English teachers.
Yeah, you do.
A recent project that started last fall.
Yeah, tell us more about that project. Why did you start that project and how is it going?
So what I appreciate, I'll go about it in sort of like a roundabout way, but I know that like one of the reasons why you actually insisted on this club being in English is that you probably also feel the need to like keep up your English, right? And of course, as a teacher, your role in the lesson is to ask good questions. And I feel like eventually when you've been teaching long enough, you master that skill. You master that skill to the point when you're having a regular conversation with someone, you're the one asking questions. Almost to the point where it sort of becomes very one-sided. Like, and I feel like us teachers, we don't really have a platform very often where somebody would like ask us just like a very simple, how are you?
Yeah.
Because we're usually the ones asking. And we're usually the ones like providing the vocabulary and looking up the materials. And actually, the first impulse that I got for creating the course was in a lesson with a student that I have. And we were discussing an issue. It was something like current affairs at the time. I don't remember. And I was asking her for her opinion. And she told me. And she was like, and what do you think? And she wasn't trying to catch me off guard. She genuinely wanted to know. And in that moment, I was just like, and I was like, man, what's happening? So I realized that I needed that platform like for myself. And then I started thinking, you know, like if I feel that need, is it possible that perhaps like other people could feel the same? So I started like talking to people. I started having a lot of conversations about like what it was, like what we could create, like what we could put together. And I basically started working on the idea last spring and developed and kind of like put it together over the course of the summer and launched it last fall as a prototype, as the first one of the course.
And how is it going? Is it what you wished for? Is it
It's so much more than what I could have possibly imagined. It's absolutely amazing. Some of the ladies from the club actually took the courses, and Kaya, Janie, Petya Hanushova, Pavla Balkova, which was absolutely amazing to have them there. And
Jana Kindlova is here. She says hi.
Oh, yes. Hi, Yanni. Yeah, Jancha has individual classes with me at the moment.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was absolutely, and it's been a whirlwind, but like in the best possible way. I loved it. I really do love it. So we focus on the language, but also in connection with topics that are relevant for us, right? So there's a lot of self-development going on, talking about topics like creativity, innovation, who inspires us. And we also have guests, which is amazing. So my English teacher is actually doing the course with me, which is so great. I love Tina.
Beautiful.
And then also, Jeff, who is a friend of mine from the States, who is a business consultant, is also there with us. So there's also the opportunity to talk to native speakers, educated native speakers. And it's really cool. It's great.
Yeah,
awesome. Empowering. It's very empowering.
You have another student here. Petya just joined. Petya says hello, says, I am here too.
Hi, Petya. Hey.
Hi, Petya. That's wonderful. And this is also something, when I hear about this, that I never dreamt of when starting this club. Not only did I not know how long it would take, but I had no idea that you ladies would, or me included, because we work on different projects together as well, that we would create these different projects and cooperate on courses and teach each other and coach each other. And that's the most beautiful thing women can do for each other, supporting each other, lifting each other up. And most importantly, what I always appreciate about this club, and it somehow happened naturally, and I'm not surprised, I must say, is that although we are kind of competition, we don't behave in a nasty way as sometimes competition does. Yeah, we are always helping each other instead of competing, and that's just beautiful. And you're helping this.
Thank you. Thank you for creating that platform, first and foremost. Are we competition?
Well, yes, I know. That's a big question. Do you wanna dive into this? Do you want to talk more about this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think we are. And again, I'll start in a roundabout way with a story that's related to myself, just to sort of make the point. So recently I started looking for another English teacher. Like I have Tina, and she's absolutely amazing. I was kind of looking for a native speaker to talk to who is not a teacher, because, you know, like I just wanted like a different sort of an experience. So I went to a platform. Yeah, it's called italki. Like you can like choose an English teacher there. There was like a trillion billion people. And I started scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and I kept scrolling, and all I was seeing was, you know, I teach in a fun, relaxed way. You're gonna learn. You're not gonna have to be like, you won't have to be afraid of like making mistakes. And that's great. That's fantastic. But it didn't tell me anything about the teacher himself or herself, right? So so I just like kept scrolling, and I kept thinking, well, this is great, but like, tell me a little bit about like you. Tell me a little bit about like what drives you, and like about your passion and what you do, and what's it gonna look like if we actually like get together and have a class together. And it made me realize that all of us who teach, we have something that sets us apart, right? There is something that's, I call it like weirdness. Like there is something weird, not in the meaning of strange, but in the meaning of unique.
Madla often talks about this.
Oh, she does, right? Yeah, she told me. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the weirdness, the something that, as you say, sets us apart, and why some people choose us and not the other person.
Exactly. So in a way, I don't really see, you know, like other teachers as my competition, even if they focus on like very similar things to what I do, because I am super different. Like, and all of us are super different. And
we
the
are
more
all
we show
unique
that to
in our
people,
own way.
Yeah, exactly. And the more we are unafraid to show that to people, the higher the likelihood is that we will attract people who will want our particular brand of weirdness.
Yes, our specific cocktail, our mixture that nobody else has.
Yes.
And that's why one of my favorite quotes is by Oscar Wilde. What is this? Be yourself, everybody else is already taken. Not choose yourself, but be yourself, everybody else is already taken. And I think this club is also a specific in this way, that it attracts people who enjoy being authentic and who want to be themselves. And I know one of the best compliments I got about this club was several months ago. I don't know if it was you or someone else, when someone said, you know, Nina, I love that you are not trying to like present us with a formula that worked for you and now everybody else should follow that path, but you're rather coaching each of us to become our most authentic selves and to have our own style. And that's exactly how it should be, because you just supported it with your story here, because we are all people, and I really believe that our clients choose us also based on who we are, not just the language that we teach and how we teach, but do we come across as a pleasant person, as a friendly person, as an interesting person.
100%.
Because when we speak with people every single week for an hour or 90 minutes
or more,
we need to have interesting conversations with them, and they need to want to tell us about their lives.
That is so true.
like that. Yeah. And so we attract, this is what we spoke about. I remember in one of our first webinars with Madla about marketing, that we should be completely authentic, and we should also express our, even our, if we want to, our political views, what music we love, where we travel, because people will always find this or that close to their heart, and they will connect to us based on maybe the K-pop that you like to listen to.
You would not believe how many of my students I connected with over the music we listened to, the concerts I went to, the TV shows we watched, and that's it, right? Because that's what builds connection. Like, hey, I was just in London, I saw this group, and they're like, oh, what's it called? What's it called? Yeah, BTS. Wow, oh my god, and this is what?
My daughter listens to BTS.
Does she? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she knows a lot of English, and she's 12. And she learns a lot of English from BTS now. Yeah. And following them on YouTube.
This is exactly what I was talking about in the beginning of the interview. It starts with a passion.
Yes.
It starts with a passion.
Absolutely. And we can just support it as parents or teachers with more ideas and more questions. And as you said, also teaching our clients to ask us questions, to really open up. I simply do it by opening up myself, and they know that they can ask me as well, and they enjoy listening to what I have to say, not just them. So it's not one-sided.
100%.
So, Baru, I would, you mentioned it at the beginning that you started freelancing properly 2 or 3 years ago, and that you grew in your teaching and your freelancing, entrepreneuring a lot throughout the past 2 years. It was a very special time, wasn't it? It's not just that we all met in this club, but 1st of April 2020 was 2 weeks after the first lockdown, after the first panic. We were starting the COVID times. Hopefully that's over. So the 2 years of COVID, or 2 years with COVID. Can you tell us a little bit more about where you were then and how your career changed, teaching and freelancing?
Sure. So it went completely topsy-turvy, I would say. So if I remember correctly, April 2020, I was still working in a language school back then, which was an amazing experience, though I have to say. I was working in this language school for Vietnamese Czech learners of English here in Prague. So I was working with kids and teenagers of Vietnamese heritage and Vietnamese origin. And I had one company client, and that was it. And in the span of, I want to say, 6 to 9 months, I started really working on myself, and I started learning more about being an entrepreneur and what it actually meant, and all the different things, the logistics associated with it, and what is required, and what you have to do, and how you go about getting clients, and building a social media presence, building a website, and all of that. And I think then it sort of started snowballing, and it hasn't stopped since.
You're on a roll, girl. You are. Yes, you are.
But I have to say, that beginning was, it was demanding in terms of the time I invested into it. So definitely, there was also a very steep learning curve. So maybe it's sort of looking back, I am amazed, but I'm really glad that I was able to get to the point where I was able to stop working for language schools, where I was able to go completely freelance, which the club gave me the confidence to actually do. I don't think I would have been able to do it without the support of everybody. Yeah. So then, yeah, I mean, I kept working on myself. I kept developing myself as a teacher, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but not only as a teacher, but also as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur. Yeah, with our
You
webinar.
you are so hardworking. You are everywhere. You learn so much, both as a teacher and a
Yeah,
freelancer. It pays off. I can
it
see how it pays off.
100%.
Yeah.
It really does. It really
What
does.
has been the hardest battle at the beginning or since the beginning? Because you're still kind of at the beginning of freelancing.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely 100% down.
Yeah.
Like for me, one thing I struggle with is consistency.
Hmm.
Because it's not just about having a good idea, but it's about like consistently communicating like who you are and what you do. And like for me, it's sort of like comes and goes in waves. So there are like
Hmm.
times when I'm super excited about what I do and I want to tell everybody about it. And then there are times when my introverted self needs to like pull back a little bit. So like for me, balancing that has been very hard. I don't think I've quite mastered it yet, but I would like to focus on that. And then yeah, general um, work-life blending and work-life balance.
Are you talking about social media presence now?
Yeah, that as well. That as well. It's something that I also struggle with.
And screen time, yeah. I remember
Mm,
the winter 2021
mm,
at the beginning, yeah, January, February, March. That was a big topic for all of us here because it had been 1 year of the pandemic and we had so much screen time going on. I feel it's much better now when we can go out and actually, have life outside of work as well. And many of us going back to offline a little bit at least. But in winter 2021, it was just online, just screen time. We couldn't go socialize, we couldn't go to the cinema, things like that, yeah, and travel. And we were just stuck. And it was really hard on us, wasn't
it
it?
was. It really was. It really was. Now that you mentioned that, I remember exactly what you're talking about. I even
Me
remember the
too.
discussions we had like at that
Yeah,
particular time. But I think it was also a very like it was a learning moment. I think
yeah.
for all of us to kind of get better at this like balancing online and offline. Like in a way, I'm extremely grateful for COVID because I don't think like without the opportunity and the way we have normalized teaching online,
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to like get to where I am. So
You
that was
weren't online
definitely
at all.
no,
I remember you were offline when you entered the club. You were
yeah,
completely offline.
I
Yeah,
was. I was 100%. 100%. I didn't even have like a website or social media, anything.
yeah.
Everything 100% offline. So that's been amazing. Really a blessing in disguise, but also a bit of a double-edged sword, I would say.
Hmm.
And I feel like we've all gotten like much better at keeping ourselves in check when it comes to
Oh,
social
yes.
media.
And what helped you the most to do that? Talking about it with other people in the club definitely helped.
Mm,
I remember that was so helpful also for me, and keeping each other in check.
yes,
That's like,
yes,
yeah, peer
yes,
pressure. Yeah.
100%.
What else helped you?
Sharing, just sharing with people and realizing it wasn't just me, that there were
Hmm.
other people and other female freelance teachers going through exactly the same
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that always helps. And then meeting offline when it was possible. I actually just started an offline course today, because I felt like it was time.
Tell us more about it, please.
Oh, it's not like a group course. It's just like an individual one-on-one lesson in a company. But like the guy was like, "Hey, listen, super fed up with online meetings. Can we do it offline?" I was like, "Hey, you know what? Yes."
So, how
Yeah.
do you feel about the near future? Do you think you will keep it mostly online, or will you go to 50-50, or what do you think will happen for you?
I think I will keep it mostly online for the
Hmm.
time being because like most of my clients are not even from Prague.
Hmm.
So that would
Yeah.
be logistically very difficult. But at the same time, I would like to stay open to opportunities that might happen in Prague. Like, I really do like teaching. I'm sort of like now again at the point where I'm coming back to business English, for example, which is something I didn't want to do for many, many years after I sort of had my fill of that.
Hmm.
And there is a lot of that going on in Prague in industries that I'm interested in, such as IT, pharmaceuticals, and so on. So
Hmm.
that might be a way to go. I
Yeah,
think it's
maybe
really just like being
teaching
open.
Teaching offline in companies again, yeah, in Prague.
Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Now that you mention this opportunity to teach people from other places than where we are from, it to most people who are from outside of Prague, it sounds so weird. Like, why would she be excited that she can teach people from outside of Prague when, you know, like, I'm here in my little village and I cannot find anyone. Prague is so big, and people always think that we have so many opportunities when we are from bigger cities. But now online helped us to teach anyone we want. And you're saying that most of your clients are not even from Prague now.
Yep. Yep. I could count the number of clients I teach from Prague on one hand. Seriously.
Isn't that incredible? And I often teach people from Prague who
Do
could
you?
never, take my lessons. I do. I actually do. Yes. And I know of other people from smaller cities. They teach people from Prague. You know, then, you know, we can all mingle and help each other based on not where we are, but who we are.
We are. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned that you started freelancing, you started building your social media presence, you built your website. Was that hard for you to jump into all this so quickly? Because at the same time you also came and educated yourself on methodology, you came to our language coaching workshops, you came to the Language Teachers Festival, you come to our offline meetings where we do these masterminds. So that's more about teaching. But this freelancing part, how do you manage all that? And is it a lot for an individual freelancer, independent, professional, young lady starting?
Yeah, short answer, yes. But I never did it on my own. You know, I learned very early on that if I was to have like any chance whatsoever at making this work, I can't do it on my own. So
Yes.
I had to learn how to ask for help.
How to delegate. Yeah, I remember
How
that
to
was one of
delegate.
my first topics in the club. Ladies, if you learn one thing from me, delegate. Please learn delegating.
Yes.
And you don't even have to have kids, yeah? You don't even have to like look for a babysitter. It's just that building your own website, no. It's better to get help from a web designer, right? Or social media templates. Better to have a graphic designer, and so on and so on. Business consultancy, yeah? All of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I did a consultation with you when I was thinking of opening the group courses, right?
Yes.
And I remember it gave me a lot of encouragement that I needed in that particular time that I could actually do it. Yeah.
So
100%.
even when you are, what I really appreciate about you is that even when you are at the beginning, you learned very quickly that it is very smart to invest in your business and maybe not start saving all the money from the very beginning from your work, but invest back into your work because it pays off, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course, 100%.
Even when you are starting, it is very, very smart to invest a little bit into growing, be it methodology or be it some consultancy, how to do this or that, copywriting, graphic design, delegating, paying someone else to do jobs that you don't want to do yourself, because it can be a lot at the beginning, but it pays off big time, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah. I feel like the concept that really helped me solidify this was the concept of like the core competence that you have. And I know that social media are not my core competence. I have somebody who helps me with that. Yeah. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a website designer. I don't design UX. Like I have no idea how to do these things. What I know is know how to teach. And with everything else that is ancillary to that, I need to get help because it's not my core competence. And the more time I spend away from what my core competence is, the more, like, yeah, of course I could do it myself. I can learn how to do it. Yes, eventually, in maybe 200 hours, I can learn how to do it. But is it going to be the return on investment that I'm looking for? Probably not. So asking for help, that's been super crucial. Not thinking that I can do everything on my own, because you can't. Yeah, you absolutely can't.
We already do more than most people, I would say, as freelancers. We do so much. We have so many roles because we still have to oversee the projects. We are project managers for all of this. So we need to understand the big picture. It's not that we don't understand it. It's just that the details, what takes me 2 hours can take 2 minutes of my virtual assistant's time, for example. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything that you would have done differently now that you look back at the beginning?
Yeah, talking about social media and websites and like thinking that everything needed to be super professional straight from the beginning, like it certainly gave me a confidence boost that I needed starting out. But if I were to like give my younger self a piece of advice, I would say don't be afraid to show people your weirdness. Like seriously, be authentic, talk about the things you love. Yeah, don't be afraid to like bring the things you love into your lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the more you show of yourself, the more the others will show of themselves as well, and the better relationships you'll be able to build, and the better you will actually be able to help your clients.
Yeah. And
So
I
focus
know,
on relationships.
yeah, it's all about, absolutely. I even call it relationship marketing. I think it's even a thing. Relationship marketing for us who love communicating, who love people, is the best way to promote our services. I really believe so. We can have websites and perfect logos and perfect claims and social media, but it's never going to attract as many people as when we are our true authentic selves, bringing the weirdness in. I love how you phrase that, right? Because I know we also spoke about this. You said, yeah, I used to think that all these things like perfect logo and perfect wording of what I offer is the most important thing, but it's not that, is it?
It's not. It's really not. No.
Because people in the end love people, right? So yeah, and I believe that what, for example, what we do here as a community, it's also not for everyone, and that's okay. I learned that very early on in my freelancing career, that I am not going to cater to everyone, and that's fine. It's actually much better that, you know, you are specialized in something, and people will find that special something interesting.
Yeah, and there will be times where it will go horribly wrong.
Yes.
And you will start working with a person who is not a good match at all, and you realize that down the line it'll be like, okay, this is torture for both of us.
Yes.
But then there will be times when it's, you know, things are just gonna click and it'll be absolute magic. And like to me, it comes down to like really, really knowing yourself as well as like really self-development and like learning as much as I could about myself and who I was and what my value was, what my values were, and like what I wanted to do. That's helped so much in like also shaping my path as a freelancer and as a teacher.
Wow. Anything specific? Because I know you like to tell stories. Is there anything that you would pick and not generalize this much, but maybe give us a detail or two about one of these transformations of yours?
It's okay to be shy. It's okay to be introverted. It's okay to feel like you're struggling to get out of bed on the, sometimes in the morning. It's okay to feel anxious sometimes. Like there are people who will be able to relate to that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
nice.
you don't have to like pretend to be somebody you're not.
Yes,
Just because it
exactly.
looks like, the glitz and glamour of Instagram. You don't have to do that.
That's a good topic. Comparing ourselves with the highlight reels of others, what we see on
Mm.
social media. How do you
Mm.
deal with that? Because you said sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not, sometimes
Mm.
I'm gone from social media. And it's
Mm.
not easy for us freelancers, especially who are aware of the fact that it can be quite important, our social media presence.
That's
And
true.
then when we are not there and everybody else is there, we're thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be forgotten, or oh my goodness, I'm not as good at
Mm.
Instagram strategy as this other teacher. What will people think of me? How do you
Mm.
deal with these feelings? Do you get these? We all get these.
Well, yeah, 100%, of course. Well, when that happens, I remind myself of like what it is that is actually again like the core of my business, and that's my clients. That's not my social media.
Yes.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
more time I dedicate to my clients, the better results I see. Yeah. So of course you need social media. You can't survive without social media these days. I recognize that. I acknowledge that. But for me, actually taking the energy that sometimes I feel like I would need to dedicate to social media and dedicating that to people that I already work with instead can actually yield better results.
Right. Yeah. And I truly believe you don't even need social media. It's an extreme, of course, but
Mm.
if you're not into it, you don't necessarily need it as long as your quality of work is at a high level and people tell each other. And then it's the old way, the old-fashioned way.
Mm.
People just talk.
Yeah.
How do
And
you
I
do
would
it? How
say,
do you approach this?
yeah, well, that is a great question. I think like being really super specific about what
Yeah.
I offer. And I'm aware that I could even like, even as I said, it's still too eclectic what I do. I could still narrow it down if I wanted to. I don't want to at the moment,
Mhm,
but I
mhm.
could. And just like by creating or like by realizing where it is that I feel best as a teacher and as an educator, and then just telling everybody, hey, listen, I like teaching advanced learners.
Yeah.
And then you tell people a million times.
Yeah. And you show your work.
And you
I
show your
love
work.
that idea. It's
Mm-hmm.
the best. Yeah. Then you show what happens in the back office or what happens in the lessons. You talk about it. You talk about your clients' results. And that's it. That's the magic, right? You don't have to teach word of the day. You
No,
don't. As
no, you don't.
Kate says, right? Kate Bogar. Wonderful. Thank you, Baru, for sharing all this. I believe that this is highly inspiring for the other teachers. I asked on Instagram if other teachers would like to watch this interview, so I would publish it outside of our club. And many teachers said, because they know you from
Wow.
Instagram, obviously, and your courses, many teachers said, yes, please publish this. And what we've been
Oh my
talking
goodness.
about here, I really believe can be highly supportive, inspiring, and motivating for everyone, even those who teach longer than you. They can see how you do it, and this way we can all show each other that we are not alone with our worries, with our journeys, with self-doubt, with
Mm-hmm.
yes, with our struggles, yeah, to be
100%.
perfect, yeah, our
Mm-hmm.
needs to be perfect all the time. We kind of have that in common as teachers, right? Like
Yeah,
otherwise
that's
we
when I had
wouldn't.
to learn to let go.
Letting go, yeah,
Yeah.
learning to let go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just take a deep breath and
Yeah.
meditate, be in the present moment, and
Mm-hmm.
it will all come together as it should, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was an absolutely wonderful experience for me as well.
Is there anything else, Baru, that you feel like you'd like to add that I didn't maybe ask enough, that we didn't discuss? Ladies, if you have questions, we have some lovely comments here. Let me, in the meantime, post a few. Lenka is watching, yes. And this was Petya saying that she loves the weird. Yes, and Tiancha was here. So if anyone has a question before we leave, please ask. Maybe I have one more question now. I have an idea about a question, but ladies, please do ask as well. You are very welcome. Those of you watching live or even the recorded version in the club, to ask Bára. This is your chance to ask her something you've always wanted to ask her, how she does something. My question would be, you are now teaching quite a few groups, yeah? How do you build groups? You, I know, are very good at teaching individuals, and you were teaching groups for a language school, but teaching groups as a freelancer, it is one of the most challenging entrepreneurial side of things, I would say, in our profession. How do you go about it? How do you put the groups together? Do you struggle with it? Can you tell us more about it, please?
Sure. So I think in my case, it's slightly specific because the groups are for a very, very, very niche audience. But in a way, I feel like that helps. That actually helps.
Yes. Yes.
Because I also did try the other way around. I tried to open a group that was more like a general C1 conversation group. Crickets.
I know.
So I feel like, again, listening to people and like creating something that resonated with people and then thinking of what the best way to deliver that particular thing rather than the other way around, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah? Okay, great.
That's how I built my zážitkové kurzy angličtiny for women, because I listened to what people wanted and I wasn't afraid. Now it's so normal to teach groups of women, but back then it wasn't, and it was not even considered something correct. And I still pulled through because I believed in it. I believed in niching down. Like you are saying, it actually helps you to sell the course, to sell that service to someone. It totally does. And it makes perfect sense. So people shouldn't be afraid to niche down, right?
No, never ever. Never ever. No. I mean, like realistically, how many people do you need? 8 out of 15 million, if you include Slovakia as well. Right?
Yeah, if you want to start with 2 groups, 2 groups for 4 people, and there you go. You also had your test group, at the beginning.
Yes, I did.
That's a very important thing, to always have a test group when you do groups.
Yeah, so basically what I did was I built a pilot, which was slightly shorter than the second run of the course, and I collected feedback. I collected so much feedback. And then I tried to incorporate every single piece of feedback I received into the course in January, and I think it really helped. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But also, like, it's just the way it was created was also very organic because, you know, I've been messaging back and forth with a couple teachers, like, for example, Jeannie from the club, and she kept telling me, you know, like, you should do something like that. You should do something like that. So a couple months later, I did, right? So, like, just the way it was created wasn't like, you know, me putting together a group and then trying to sell it to people. It was the other way around.
Wow.
And that's why I think it worked.
Yeah. Yes, it always does. It always does when it comes from the heart. And it's not like too well thought out. And it's just listening to people's needs. It clicks and it happens and the magic happens.
100%.
Is
So
there
right now, for example, yeah, sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
No, I just wanted to say, like, right now, again, I'm listening and I'm working on like a slightly different group structure because, you know, like right now, for example, what I'm hearing from a lot of people that I teach is that they want something more systematic. Because this course for teachers, it's very, I love it. It's like conversation, flow, you know, like adapting, dogma, like whatever is happening on that particular call. And then again, there are some people who are telling me, hey, listen, we would appreciate something like slightly more systematic. Yeah, like we need more help with like learning vocab. So again, I heard that and I'm creating something slightly different based on what I hear around me. But I think it's also about like really listening to people and like being able to ask a good question and like listening to what they are telling you and sometimes also what they are not telling you. Yeah. And then being curious.
Do you have some kind of questionnaire after the course is over?
100%. I do.
Good. Okay. Anything that you feel is still challenging, not just about building groups, but about freelancing as an English teacher in general? Is there anything that you want to work on in the near future that, you know, you want to improve?
So many things. I don't think it's ever gonna stop for me, you know, like I don't think I'll ever get to the point where I'll be like, I'm super happy with the way things are right now. I think I'm never gonna be like that complacent. If I were to single out two things, I would say like being consistent with my social media presence. And keeping like just to like keep innovating the lessons because I don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you know.
No, it gets boring and it will drive you away from the job. So innovating always, that would be my third that I didn't mention at the beginning. Talking to people, loving grammar, but always innovating, always creating new things because we can get bored too, yeah?
Yes, we can. And like, I really believe that you as a teacher need to be enjoying the lesson as much as your student, if not more.
Amen, sister.
If that's not happening, yeah. Oh, you're very welcome.
This is Yitka. Hello, Yiti, to Edinburgh. She says it's so inspiring and also sharing about groups is very inspiring. Yes, that's why I wanted to ask about it. Ladies, I see no more questions here. You're just in awe, as I am always with Bára, I suppose. So you're just listening and are you blushing, Baru, now?
Slightly.
Slightly.
Body parts are visible on the camera.
How do you feel now after your first, because we are near the end, how do you feel about your very first live interview on social media? You survived it. It was all good?
Well, I feel pumped. I feel great. I think I'm going to go for a run.
I remember my first 10 or 20 interviews. There was so much adrenaline rush. Now I'm just going to make dinner for my daughter.
Oh, you're a veteran.
Now I am a veteran, and you can be too. If you do this online, it's really not that hard, is it?
I'm starting to get the idea. It's not.
There you go. There you go. Maybe a new project. You never know.
But I have to say, like, it also really helped that we know each other quite well.
Yeah,
we're quite comfortable with each other. And again, it's like you don't have to do everything yourself, right?
That's why interviews are great. And I really believe sharing these stories of other teachers can help all of us so much, not to feel alone, to feel like we belong to this bigger community where nothing is a problem. Everything can be solved as long as you share and we can help each other. And that's the beauty of community and the beauty of this club as well. So Baru, thank you so much for being here with me to celebrate the 2 years. We're rounding up the 2 years, because today is the 31st of March 2022. We started this club on the 1st of April 2020. So tonight is a big night. We're rounding up the 2 years. So cheers to you, my friend. I don't have wine tonight. I really wanted to focus. Cheers to you, and cheers to everybody in this club and all the teachers who are going to listen to this. You are not alone. If you want to reach out, please reach out, and we will carry you with open arms forward, because this is nothing to be afraid of. This is a beautiful, beautiful journey of self-development, isn't it?
Totally.
Bára, thank you so much. We have another from Petya. We have another reaction here. Yes, thank you, Petya, for your comment. Thank you, Bára, for sharing as well, taking your time off for this interview. And I'll see you in the club.
I'll see you around.
Many kisses. Bye, everyone. Bye, Bára. Ciao, ciao. As I always say, ciao, ciao.